are lucky enough today to spend 22 minutes with the legendary Lainie Kazan, singer, actress. You've done it all. What a career. Amazing.
I've had fun.
Yeah. And now a little jet lag because you were out West Coast. Now you're back here because you're going to be performing at the Queensboro Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, April 3rd.
Okay.
April 3rd, but I'm not staying. I'm going to fly back.
Because you're here for the big movie premiere, My Big
Fat Greek Wedding 2.
What a movie. And you know, when the first one came out, I only know it as this ginormous hit movie. It was a little indie movie, right?
Yeah, it's a little movie that could.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because we just filmed this little movie. I got a call from my agent. He said, look, there's a girl, a little Greek girl who wrote a play, and it looks like they're going to make a movie of it. So would you like to go to Tom Hanks's office and read the play, read the script? Mm-hmm. I said, oh, I want, and they're serving breakfast. I said, they're serving breakfast, Tom Hanks's office? I'm in. So we went and had this fabulous read through. And I didn't hear from them for like a year.
No kidding.
Yeah, and then they called me and said, we're making the movie, and there's hardly any money. We're doing it for a very limited with a very limited budget, and we're doing it in Canada, in Toronto. I said, just count me in. I'm going to do it.
Because you knew the role of the Mother Maria would be
perfect.
A show-stopping role.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that, but I did know that it was a terrific script. Nia is a brilliant, I think, a brilliant writer and a wonderful little actress. And so I said yes and got up to Canada, and we became a family. Yeah. We're very close. We see each other all the time. In these 12 years that have lapsed between films, we spent, I'd say, all day and all night together because,
so nice.
You know, we would get together for dinner or for lunch. And then when we shot this second movie, we were together all the time. We partied every night or at least had dinner, something like that.
Now, I've heard you joke that you were the only non-Greek cast member, other than John Corbett, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm the only, people speak Greek to me, and I say, it's Greek to me. But,
and the whole cast is back, right? I mean, Nia Vardalos and John Corbett, Michael Constantine.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, and even the extras. Would you believe that?
Really?
Yes.
And after 14 years?
Yeah. Some of them were on canes and crutches. No, I'm joking.
Not you, though. You are ageless.
No.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
14 years. And I watched, I didn't get to go to the screening of the new movie, but I did watch the first one again for the third time, or however many times I've seen it. And I was really struck by your character. You know, the joke, of course, is it's this intrusive Greek family. But your character, she's shrewd. You know, she helps Tula get what she wants and needs, right?
Yeah, well, she's a mother.
Yeah.
And she wants the best for her daughter. Yeah. And she wants her daughter to be happy, and she's not very happy in the first movie, but she's grown into a beautiful woman. And I love Nia's writing. Yeah, she's a wonderful writer.
Now, I read that it took her a while to write another one, 14 years. You say, well, why did you wait? Because the first one was a smash.
We would get together at dinner, and the first thing I would say to her is, well, what's the sequel? When is the sequel?
Come on,
she'd say, I'm not ready. Yeah. Then she adopted this beautiful girl, the little girl. Mm-hmm. And I guess she understood a lot more about motherhood, about rearing somebody's, life, and about, she was just ready to do it. She said that this experience of adopting this child and taking care of her taught her so much about life, and she was ready to write the sequel. Sure. So I think it's a beautiful sequel. It's very funny, but the moments that are serious and dramatic are so touching and so beautiful that, I think you'll love it.
Like in the first one, my kids always laugh at me because I tend to well up. I don't have, there's not a very high bar for me. But there was a moment in the movie where you say, I gave you
life.
life.
And so if you have to live it.
Right, and she does. And now in the new one, so you're the grandma, and Nia's character is raising this sort of rebellious teenager. And I don't want to blow it, but there is a family secret revealed. Is that the basic? Give us the basic premise of the new one.
I can't.
You can't.
They tell me death.
Okay, so it's a sequel.
Yeah, it's a sequel, but it's a beautiful story, and it's the story is very real to so many people. But I think this movie will touch everyone's heart. You know, the other movie, the people really identified with the characters. Now they know these people.
Right.
They know them, and we all knew our characters. I mean, we just got on the stage, and we were ready.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to go a little bit. I had to do a little work on my accent. A little work, but other than that, I was there. And my character, the only thing I could tell you is my character's a little crazier than we expected in the first one.
Crazy in the best of ways,
In
I'll
the
bet,
best
yeah.
of ways.
And were you back in Canada? You said it was the same
Yes,
crew.
Toronto,
Okay.
yeah, and
That's
everybody knew us, and it was like we'd come home, and we all, on that first day that we shot the movie, everyone was so happy to be there.
I'll bet.
Yeah, it was lovely. It's a lovely group of people, warm and sensitive, and I love this cast.
You mentioned Nia and taking some time to write and having, her own motherhood sort of inform the role.
Right.
And I also understand that she did write it. She, in an interview, said that there aren't a lot of great roles written for women. You hear so much, women of a certain age, that she felt like she had to write it. Is that a difficulty in Hollywood?
I think so. I think certainly for women of my age, it's a really difficult place to be in life because there's very little work for women over 60. I mean, there are some people who have, pushed their way through and have opened the door, but I'm very lucky. I'm so lucky, and I never forget it.
Yeah.
I've had an amazing career. I've reinvented myself several times with thought.
That's
I
the
mean,
secret,
I didn't, do. It wasn't an accident that this happened, because when I sang, my whole career was really as a singer, and I grew as a singer. I did what I had to do. I think as I got better, there were less and less work for myself as a singer. And I think I was at the height of my career in a way. I mean, I just did everything I could possibly do as a singer. And I thought, I need to be an actor. Because I studied acting while I was in Funny Girl. I studied acting with Sanford Meisner. He was my teacher. And then I studied with Lee Strasberg. So I was prepared. It wasn't like I accidentally fell into this, role. Right? It didn't just happen. Yeah. I was running my nightclubs. I had 2 nightclubs at one point in my career. And when I wasn't working those nightclubs or singing in those nightclubs or casting the shows, and I did everything. I put the pictures on the walls, I did the napkins, I did everything. And so I would study acting during the day. I'd study with Lee Strasberg. And so I got an agent to put me up for a few things. And then I got this role in Francis Coppola's movie, and that was really the beginning for me because he put the Midas touch on me.
You knew him from Hofstra.
Hofstra, yeah.
Right? Were you? He was the director, and you were his lead actress at Hofstra.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did a bunch of theater with him, and his father and his uncle wrote the music. Oh, it was just unbelievable.
Did they really call you guys the Hofstra Nostra, or
No,
did somebody make that up?
No, how did you know that?
I read all about you.
Really? That's wild. Well, because I was playing at the Fairmont, at the Venetian Room, at the Fairmont Hotel, and at the end of and I was very much the chanteuse, very serious, and in my gown of black and with my strand of pearls, so not like me, but I was. That was the vision they had, and Francis Coppola came backstage. I said, Francis. We called him Francie.
Francie back
Francie,
then.
yeah.
Who knew? The guy who
Francie.
did The Godfather had a nickname,
Right,
Francie.
So I said, God, what are you doing here? And he said, you know, Lainie, you are hysterical. I said, I am? He said, you're hysterically funny. What did I do that was funny? He says, you just are. He says, in fact, why don't you, I'm going to send a car for you, and your daughter come up to Napa and have dinner with us and spend the weekend. So I said, okay. And when I got up there were all these people from Hofstra working for him. He said, this is the Hofstra Nostra.
Great. And this was like 1980 time frame,
Yeah.
right? So he had already had the successes of The
Huge,
Godfather. He
yeah,
was already a big deal.
huge.
Was James Caan there too?
No, but I
the
knew
house?
him.
Oh,
But I became, yes,
Okay.
he was there. He was.
Okay, all right.
But he wasn't at the dinner.
All right,
He
okay,
wasn't.
all right.
But later on, we all got together and we were all,
Right.
you know,
And so-
we all came back together again. It was like the same thing with my Big Fat Greek Wedding in a
Right,
way, you know.
right.
We just all adored each other and came back together. And so he handed me a script as I walked out the door. He said, read the script. And like a week later, he said, would you come in and read for us? I said, sure, I would, Francie.
But you had been in movies before that,
Yes,
right? But this was
I didn't, it
Coppola.
wasn't taken serious. I did 2 movies before this, maybe 3. I was in a movie with
Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie
I read.
Leslie Nielsen and Rory Calhoun.
Okay.
And I played some singer. I played a singer. And then it was, and I thought, my manager said, you can't do this movie, it's terrible. I said, you know, it's not terrible because I'm going to learn about a camera, I'm going to learn
Sure.
how, and nobody will ever see it. And little did I know, National General bought the film, and it was all over. I traveled the world. I was in Africa. There were posters of me in flames and stuff. So I did that, and I did a movie with Frank Sinatra. I did a movie, one of the Tony Rome series.
Oh, okay.
It was called
Yeah.
Lady in Cement.
Oh,
And I met Frank
were
Sinatra.
you the one
I
in the
was. I
cement?
was.
Oh dear.
I was, but I was a go-go dancer.
Oh, my God.
And
How was he to work with?
oh my God, I don't remember. I was so dazzled. It was like, oh my God, he was so wonderful to me. I can't even. I can't tell you. It was great.
That's great.
And he. I mean, what happened was, you really want to know?
Yeah, I really
All right.
do.
So I was singing at the Eden Rock. I was opening for Don Rickles, and he was singing at the Fontainebleau. And he said, he auditioned me for the role, and I was with my manager. We went up to his suite, and he said, Lainie, oh, you look fabulous. Don't even bother to read. You just come on and come see my show tonight. I said, well, I have a show to do. He says, we'll hold the show for you.
Oh, what?
So so 2 of these guys came to pick me up, these kind of like heavy-duty guys. And they picked me up after my show was finished, took me under the ground and into like in the
Secret tunnel?
catacombs. Yeah. And we went to the Fontainebleau, and we went in. This room was like packed, and the bright lights were on. And as I walked in with Jilly Rizzo and some other guy, as I walked down, the lights dimmed, and I sat down. He waited for me.
The chairman of the board.
Yes, he
held
waited
his show for Lainie Kazan.
Yeah, and I was singing for 4 minutes. I hadn't done anything except, like, this was my 3rd job or something. And when he came on the stage, he sang to me and he introduced me. I was like staggered. And then, of course, working with him was wonderful, and he was so easy and so comfortable in his skin, you know. He taught me a big lesson. Yeah, I learned a lot from him.
Consummate professional. You touched on something earlier. You mentioned Funny Girl, and was that your big break,
Yeah.
being Streisand's understudy, playing Fanny
Yes, it
Bryce?
was.
Now, when you were auditioning for the role, did you know you were competing with Streisand? Because didn't you two go to the same high school
Yes,
in
we
Brooklyn?
did.
Yeah.
Erasmus Hall High School.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't audition for the role. What happened was Carol Haney, who is this really great choreographer, dancer, she was the original girl who sang Steam Heat. I got
Yeah.
steam heat, I got. So she did that, and she was choreographing an Oldsmobile industrial show, which I was in. And one night, I was singing. I just started singing with the piano player and the drummer, and we just started singing, like, at a little club. So she came over to me, she said, Lainie, I think you should audition for Funny Girl. I said, well, I'm going into a nightclub called The Living Room, and I'll be there for a weekend. Why don't you come in? And she said, I'll bring Ray Stark and I'll bring Garson Kanin, who was the director at the time, and we'll see you. We'll watch you. I said, oh my God, that's fantastic. And they did. They came, they saw me, and Garson Kanin just fell in love with me. And he said, I'd like you very much to play Fanny Brice's best friend. So that's what I was supposed to do. But then somebody else got that part. And then I became a Ziegfeld showgirl. And I was the showgirl there were several of us.
Right.
And I had some lines. I was Vera. And then I became, Ray Stark invited me up to his suite. His leg was in a cast. He had been skiing in Sun Valley. And but he was such a devil. He came on to me even with the cast on. He couldn't move.
I was going to say, at least he had a cast. He wouldn't bother you, but he still did.
But he sent a car to my apartment with a bar in it, and
Oh,
my God, I never saw anything like it in my life. So he talked to me. He said, "Listen, we really need somebody to understudy Barbara." I said, "I don't want to understudy anybody. I don't think I could be a good understudy."
Why
He
not?
said, I just didn't want to be. I didn't want to replicate somebody's performance.
Wanna be
I
your
wanted to
own.
be my own person, and I was very, very, I don't know what the word is, but kind of rebellious, I suppose. But I said to him, well, he said, "Oh, we'll pay you $50 more a week." I said, "Done." Yeah. So that's kind of how it happened, and then I understudied her for a year and 3 months before I got to go on. I went on twice in one day,
Right.
and then I left. I left the show. I gave a 2-week notice.
Because after that, you got
Everything
a ton of
happened.
attention.
Yes.
Just from 2 times being on stage in
Yeah,
that
well,
role.
I was very smart in a way. I just, I guess it was smart or stupid, I'm not sure. But everywhere I went, like if I was doing a show, the host or hostess would say, if you ever go on, call me. So I knew I was going on. I called everybody that ever gave me their number.
To get the press.
Yeah, and they all showed up, and so did Barbara.
She did.
And she
So you
went
were
on. I was
friends, competitors, respected adversaries? Well, how would you characterize your thing with her?
My relationship with
Yeah.
her, not good.
No? Because?
I don't think I understood why she was so controlling about her role, and didn't want anyone to touch her clothes or sing her songs. Now I understand it, but I didn't understand that because I was used to that kind of gypsy life, and so she was very. I thought of her as very difficult, and in a way, she taught me how to be difficult. You know what I mean? And so I went on that night, and as I was going, I didn't go on that night, and as I was standing in the wings, waiting to go on, would you believe, a shadow passed by me, and she walked right on the stage in her coat and her hat and the whole thing, and I was staggered. I was hysterical crying. I was like, you couldn't deal with me. So the next day, because all the press showed up, they had headlines in the papers, "Show goes on, but Lainie doesn't. It ain't funny, girl."
Oh, dear.
So I got up in the morning and they said, "Come back, you better get here." So they auditioned, not auditioned me, but they schlepped me really from pillar to post. And Sidney Chaplin, who was the Nicky Arnstein, was so kind to me. He was so wonderful. And so that next morning I got to the theater, and then Ray Stark and all the business folk standing at the backstage door, and they said to me, "You're going on today, but you cannot tell a soul." I said, "Can I call my mother?" And she had a duplicate list. So she called everybody back, yes, and they all came. And that, I think, is what happened. It went out into the world of Lainie went on, and it was something. It was really something. And then Dorothy Kilgallen, who had this she was a featured columnist, she wrote No More Cinderella Stories for Lainie. And everybody thought I'd been fired, but I wasn't fired. And I just gave my notice about 2 or 3 weeks into the, I gave them like a 3-week notice. And it was horrifying for them. They didn't know what to do, but I felt it was time for me to move along. Yeah. I got a record deal, I was, singing. It used to be, you could sing in all the great hotels in the world. And so that's what I started to do, and my husband came with me, and it was great. It was great, and it was difficult.
Yeah. So singing, and the stage, and movies, and television, and so many TV shows, Desperate Housewives, The Nanny, right? You had a pretty regular role there.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I love working with Renée Taylor. Yeah. We are so funny together.
Who did your hair for The Nanny?
Oh, wasn't he great? Isn't he great? Yeah, Tim, I can't think of his last name. She has the one thing.
It's tamped down since then. And what else I want to ask you, talking about your singing career, many CDs, and as you say, really too many nightclub venues to count. But what do you think of the young singers today, in particular, the ones who come up through the talent shows?
I think it's fantastic.
You do? Okay.
I'm going to tell you, when I was...
Some people don't, they say, oh, they should have to work all the small venues.
Well, I'm sure they've had their rehearsals, and they've worked somewhat. But the thing that amazes me is that when I was coming up, there were 5 singers in the whole world. Now there's like 50,000 singers.
So many, it's true.
But they're good.
Yeah.
They are good. They're fabulous. I mean, look at this Jennifer Hudson. Yeah. I get the chills just saying her name. She's great. And
like you, does the movies and the stage now, and
yeah. And I'm very impressed with a lot of the singing. I'm very impressed.
Do you have any favorite, contemporary singers that
I think what's
like?
that? Oh my God, that.
Carrie Underwood from Idol.
She's fantastic.
From a talent show.
She and Jennifer Hudson. Yeah. There are a couple like that. When they sing,
they can belt.
Woo! Yeah. They do more than belt. Yeah. They have a voice that just has no middle. It's like it goes from the very bottom of the scale, and the quality never changes. They just sing.
Has your voice changed?
Yeah, it has. It's gotten deeper, and I'm not as facile. I don't have the facility that I used to have.
Meaning range,
like just getting to different notes, and my voice teacher was so serious about not having a break in your voice, so he trained me in an incredible way, and now that break is kind of there a little bit, but I just kind of glide by. I do a couple of little tricks to get by.
Do you want to give us a little snippet of a song, or
a song?
Yeah, or is it?
You put me on the spot here.
And,
I'm trying to think of. I remember you. You're the one who made my life come true.
I had to hear you sing because I watched a lot of clips, before you came in today, and you're a singer. How can I talk to a singer for 22 minutes without hearing that beautiful voice?
Thank you.
And we get to spend 22 minutes with you today, and your fans get to spend probably more than 22 minutes with you at the Queensboro Performing Arts Center, 3rd of April.
Yes.
And want to do another movie plug?
Yes, my Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 opens on the 25th of March, and the premiere is tomorrow night. I'm so excited.
Oh, I wish I could be there. What a
Oh,
pleasure
my
having you here.
pleasure.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Lainie.
much.